Michael D Higgins, the current President of Ireland, is arguably one of the most articulate men in the country. He can, as they say, talk till the cows come home. Hop in a car, drive around Ireland and come home again. In fact, the only time I ever heard Michael D lost for words was when we did an interview in 1993, I think it was, and at one point, after he had waxed lyrical with absolute remembrance in relation to aspects of the 60s, I asked him if during that heady period he'd ever used drugs. This was his response.
Did you ever take drugs?
No, I have...
in the 60s as part of that?
Oh, the 60s?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to remember back now to the 60s. You see, in the 60s, I wasn't in the United States in 1967, 68. And certainly I was in environments where people smoked pot, yes.
Did you take it?
Pardon?
Did you take it with them?
Sorry?
Did you take pot with them?
I'm trying to remember. I wasn't very successful at that particular time. I didn't smoke, for example.
Right.
Yeah. I can't, honestly,
You can't remember if you took drugs, or you're just unwilling to say you don't want to because of...
No. I'll be very explicit about it. I mean, I'm just trying to remember the detail of it. I do remember smoking marijuana, I think, yeah. But that's all. I never took any other drugs of any form. I wasn't very interested in it.
Were you not?
Yes, I drank alcohol, of course.
Right. But as an intellectual, as a way of expanding your head, man, it didn't work that way. I mean, that was the other fallacy at the time.
Completely and totally reject that.
Do you?
I do, because I saw so many appalling casualties.
All right.
So many appalling casualties, and I certainly think as well, because I remember studying with Alfred Lindesmith, who wrote the first two books on the drug scene, the opiate addict and the other. He was working in Indiana. And certainly the thing about it, there was a big distinction between that time, if you like, between people who were using grass, as they said. And remember that the point is that many of us were on very tenuous visas to study in the United States at the particular time. And that's why I'm not evading your question at all. My best answer to you is that yes, I'd say yes, but it's a very long time ago. But certainly I was aware as well of the difference between that and the manipulation, which was so appalling even then, which was I was back in the States in 1971, and the changes, 1973, and the changes that had taken place in even the 6 years between people who were manipulating the connection between that scene, that time, and now later drugs was appalling. I mean, commercial people. I also visited Denmark, and I remember again Christiania, again all the sharks that moved in, and really people were interested less in something that was around Allen Ginsberg. Where I remember I visited Indiana, and there was a fog around the place for the poetry, around the time of Howe and others. The difference between that scene and the later one was only appalling, because now it had become the manipulated dependency scene that it did, and that it wreaked havoc on so many people's lives.
Right. Well,
I would have been terrified to use. I remember there were people who used LSD. I would have been terrified.
Hi, Joe Jackson here again. I thank you for listening to this edition of the Joe Jackson Interviews podcast. If you want to hear more of my work or read some of my articles, check out joejacksoninterviewer.com.